A warm greetings from Rohini College of Engineering and Technology. Welcome back to Environmental and Social Impact Assessment video lecture series. In this video, we discuss about screening and scoping in EIA. So, I am Professor Radhika, Department of Chemistry. First of all, we see that what is meant by screening. In this EIA assessment process, the screening is very important one, and it is the very first process also. It is a process by which it is determined whether an environmental impact assessment is needed for a particular project. So already we discussed that what is meant by environmental impact assessment, what is the essential, what are the objectives, what's its goals. So these kinds of topics already we have discussed in the earlier videos. So in that EIA analysis, the screening process indicates that whether the EIA report is essential or not for a particular project. It is the first and often most critical step of EIA. For a large scale projects, EIA is a mandatory one. So in a small scale projects, the screening process indicates whether the EIA analysis is needed or not. But in case of large scale projects, EIA is a mandatory one. The screening process divides the project proposals into three categories. One is project clearly requiring an EIA, project not requiring an EIA, project still EIA is not clear. So, what's the meaning is, the screening is nothing but it's the process which indicates for a particular project whether the EIA is essential or not. So based on the project proposals, the screening process can be classified into three types. A project which surely requires a EIA, the project which do not require an EIA, the project still EIA is not clear. So these are the three categories in a screening process. So this is a diagram which clearly indicates the process. Next one is a scoping. So scoping is nothing but gathering and analysis of information that a state agency will use to establish the breadth or scope of environmental review of a proposed project. So scoping is nothing but gathering and analysis of information. So this is a second method. First one is a screening, the second one is a scoping. So in that scoping process, the informations which are gathered and analyzed for a environmental review of a proposed project. Scoping is used or determine what should be the coverage or scope of the EIA study for a project proposal. It also helps in developing and selecting alternatives to the proposed action and in identifying the issues to be considered in an EIA. So scoping is used to cover or scope the EIA study. The aim of scoping. So scoping is mainly used to identify concerns for EIA. Who are the concerns? To identify the issues. What are the issues during the project time? To ensure a relevant EIA methodology. What kind of methodology they will follow? Similarly, to enable those responsible for an EIA study to properly brief the study team on the alternatives on impacts to be considered at different levels of analysis. This indicates what means. So um, suppose when we do any kind of projects, it produces the negative impacts than positive impacts. So for each negative impacts, we have to find the alternative solutions also. So that is indicated. Then the next one is to determine the assessment methods to be used. What are the methods we follow? To identify all affected interests, to provide an opportunity for public involvement in determining the factors to be accessed, to save time and money, to establish terms of reference for EIA study. So these are the aim of the scoping. So scoping is also classified into two types. Okay.